All right, welcome to Bamboo Dialogues at Bamboo Batu. I think we're on episode 19 or 20 of our Bamboo Dialogues, and thank you for joining us. If you love bamboo like we do, please check out my website, bamboobatu.com. Lots of great content there, hundreds of articles, and about 100 videos now on the YouTube channel, so please subscribe, leave your comments, tell your friends, do all that stuff. And today, my very special guest is Eva Samalea from Spain. And she's got some great experience in bamboo. We just met for the first time in real life in Mozambique about 3 months ago, which was a great honor and a pleasure. And today I'm happy to have her as a guest at Bamboo Dialogues. So we would like to start out by asking people how they got into bamboo. It's fun to know how you discovered bamboo. In many cases, it's not so much that you discovered bamboo, but bamboo discovered you. And so I know that you have a real interesting story of how you got into bamboo. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you very much, Fred. So yeah, my story with bamboo is a little bit special, but I think that everybody has a special relationship with bamboo and a special story. So I was working in South Sudan. I'm an architect by background and work in the humanitarian sector as well in the private sector for sustainable architecture and design. But yeah, I was in South Sudan working in shelter interventions when I discovered the bamboo for the first time. And bamboo was used for the construction of the shelters, but was not used that much, or not. It was not actually used as at the maximum capacity. So and we had issues with the pests and the treatments. So I was assigned with the task of improving the treatment and treating the bamboos, and I found piles of bamboo totally forgotten. Like it was treated like really like it was not like it was if it was waste. Not protected from the rain. They were using anti-termite, but just a spray on the top, like on the top of the bundle, so it was not really treated. And it was used mostly for the rafters of the structures. The main structure were built with timber and wooden posts. So when I saw this challenge and I started researching about the bamboo treatments, and then I found out about the wonders of this material. And considering the crisis in South Sudan, but as many other humanitarian crises that are protracted and that last more than 20 years, and people are in emergency shelters that are supposed to be temporary emergency, but they stay there for, as I say, maybe 10, 15 years. And they actually, because it is emergency, so you need to rebuild or repair every year. Nothing can be temporary. Depending on the context and the land tenure, you are allowed to build more permanent or less. But because of that, imagine the level of deforestation in the context. So when I saw that bamboo was there available from South Sudan, and most of it coming from Uganda, but was available, I was wondering why it is not used more. And then that's where my journey started, actually researching deeply into bamboo.
Nice. Yeah, most people, they discover bamboo in like Thailand or Costa Rica or some tropical paradise. South Sudan,
not my case.
It's not a place that most people travel to for fun, but it's not a place, if you look on a map, you wouldn't think South Sudan as a real haven for bamboo. So you were there doing humanitarian relief work, which is what you've been doing for basically your whole career, right?
Yes, I have been doing that during the last 9-10 years. Almost.
Okay.
Yes.
And so South Sudan, just for some context, is for those of us that aren't so familiar with the Central African geography, it's next to Uganda and right above Kenya. Is that right?
Kenya, Ethiopia, South in the north is Sudan.
Right.
And then border with DRC as well. Yeah, it's in the Central Africa area. It's actually the newest country in the world.
It's the what?
The newest. So it is.
Oh, right.
independent from Sudan, if I'm not mistaken, the 2011. And then in 2013, the civil war started.
Mm-hmm. And that's why you went there to build refugee shelters for the people escaping from the civil war.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, like in IDP sites, which is the internally displaced people camps, and they are around the one that I was working in different, but it was 120,000 people, 33,000 people, 44,000 people. I'm just thinking in the map and the different sites. So there were cities all made with the emergency shelter.
Wow. Sounds like the world needs more people like you out there to bring humanitarian relief, for sure. It's great, yeah, that you're doing that. So, yeah, but when I think of Sudan, I think of I think of the civil war for one thing. I also think it's close to Egypt, which is a desert, and Sudan is kind of a desert too. But I guess as you get into South Sudan, you start to get more into the subtropical. So then you start to have more bamboo growing there, actually. Yeah.
Near to Uganda, maybe. I actually think that, and in some areas, because especially in the rainy season, and there is some savanna, like the northern part, which is closest to Sudan, is really, really dry. But then there are other regions which are more, but normally dry, and the soil there is very particular. It's in some of the regions where I used to work, which is black cotton soil, is a really thick, it's a clay, like a black clay, which no water penetrates. Bamboo forest. To be honest, I think that if they are, which I wasn't there, it's in south of the country, in North Uganda. Still, they are researching and maybe trying to, because maybe you can help figuring out what species can grow there, because we know that there are several species that don't need too much water, and some that may work in this specific type of soil, because it is really also the access to some areas, or transportation is a big challenge. So if you have the materials available in the surroundings, that will be the perfect. And also for treatment of water, I have been asked if it could be used. So there is some research about it, because of course in this the context is really challenging.
Yeah, sounds very challenging for sure. And I'm not familiar with like black clay soil like that, but there's bound to be certain species that perform better in that kind of soil, and others that would be an interesting thing to research. But yeah, it's interesting that they do use some amount of bamboo there, although it's not really embedded in their culture the way, like in Southeast Asia, where we're talking about, bamboo is everywhere. They've been using it for everything for centuries. In Africa, you do find quite a bit of bamboo, but it's not really embedded like in their culture the way it is in Southeast Asia. So things like you were saying, the treatment, they don't have a good system for treating it, and so then they build with it, and then it doesn't last long, and then and then they think it's not valuable, and so it's kind of this cycle of like, well, we built with it, it didn't work, so they're not going to put much energy into it. But now, because you went there, you introduced them to some better treatment techniques, so now their structures last longer, and now they're recognizing, oh, bamboo actually is pretty useful. It's abundant. At least in Uganda, it's pretty abundant. Apparently, it's not as abundant in South Sudan, but it's available, and it's cheap, and it lasts for temporary structures. Yeah, it lasts 20 years. It's pretty good.
Still, for that, for the topic of treatment, it was a big challenge, and still it is, because this will need to be included. Of course, you will need to import borax or acid boric or any other product. And some also, normally these are projects funded by different donors, and you need to justify the treatment, which sometimes for emergency, if it is supposed to be not, the durability is not like the main of this. So it is sometimes, and the budgets are limited, so sometimes it's difficult to argue, but I hope that I have seen a change in the paradigm in the last probably 5 years, and hopefully it will change, and donors will be more supportive of treatments, because it is very rare that project, even if you include bamboo, a project for humanitarian shelter, if you include bamboo in the BOQ, that treatment is included as well. It's very rare.
Yeah, those of us who work with bamboo know that, yeah, borax and boric acid are super important for treatment. But yeah, in the situation like that, with emergency relief and a tight budget, it's not the highest priority to treat the bamboo with the proper treatment. So I can imagine that would be a struggle to get that into the budget. But yeah, it makes a huge difference in protecting it from the weather and pests and everything else. So.
Yeah, but still, well, even if the treatment was not maybe the viable, then preventive measures for the design, like the foundations, elevated some type of elevation and protection in the foundations of the shelters, and then the roofing to protect the structure from the rain. This preventative design, that techniques that are really can make a difference in a short-term structure.
Nice, good point. Yeah, if it's designed properly, then yeah, you don't need as much.
And I think that that's actually the most efficient and sustainable, because and that's the way that I always try to work. At the end, you cannot create dependency within the communities that you assist, and if you give them the tools that they can use, so if you provide them the knowledge of the techniques and how they can really design proper structures and to make them more resilient, that's the added value. If you tell them that they will need to import or buy expensive products to treat the bamboo, that's not actually sustainable for this type of crisis. So
yeah, very good point. And since you mentioned good designs, you have some pictures you can share on some of the designs you've done down there?
Yes, so I have some pictures, not many from South Sudan actually, but I have some pictures from different contexts. I just came back from, can you see my screen, just to confirm?
Yep, it's good, thank you.
So I just came back from Myanmar, which is a totally different context, and then Southeast Asia, but also a context which is facing a conflict, a crisis since 2021. Well, a crisis for many years, but in 2021 they are under a military coup, and so there are many people displaced as well, and emergency shelters built all over the country as well. But they have bamboo, they have a culture of bamboo, they do many things with bamboo, and not in the traditional houses, for the structures, they are not using normally bamboo, as you can see in the pictures in the left. They use mostly timber for all the walls and roofs and flooring, and even for household items as well. But in the right, and this is an initiative from an architect that is working there as well. Super interesting how he's trying to train communities on using the thinner diameter bamboo to make the structure. And this was a preschool construction in one of the sites. Hopefully, this system will be explored further for household shelters, because that's really abundant. Even if in Myanmar there are many types of species and the diameter, and there are bamboos that can be used by its structure. But yeah, so it is full of bamboo. And then this is
I really like on that last one that they've really got the technique of the woven, the woven bamboo with the strips. Yeah, it looks really nice how they do that.
It's very beautiful.
It's a beautiful technique. I've seen different cultures, different regions. They have different ways of weaving it, so you get different patterns. And when you get to be like next level expert, you can recognize the the weave of the bamboo and know like what village they're from or what region they're from or something. This is
And
really
in Myanmar, the regions are very different, and especially on this, what you are saying, I'm not sure if you are referring to that, but the Rohingya, which is one of the regions in Myanmar, and I learned this from some colleagues who were working in Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh, where all the refugees, the most of the Rohingya refugees moved in 2017. And she was telling me about the different patterns and how they teach the children about the different patterns with bamboo since they are very young. So it is bamboo. It's really, really, really deep into the culture. It's really beautiful, and they use bamboo also for medicine, as I was mentioning to you the other day. One of the bamboos, they make a powder with it and they apply it on the skin for the muscle pain, etc. So and then all the household items. So it's really, really within the culture.
Nice. You had a couple more pictures?
Yes. So this is, for example, the case of South Sudan, where, this on the picture on the left is one of the, it was not the worst, I think, but it was one of the warehouses without roof, where I found bamboo. And of course, I couldn't access the entire, because this was in one of the sites, but we were distributing to all the sites, and this was in the one of the 120,000 people. So fortunately, after this visit, we managed to build some storages, some sheds, and then it was protected from the floor and elevated, and then protected from the rain and wind. But then within the communities, this is something that when we talk about emergency shelter, and me as an architect, I can come up with a design and then bring it to the community, and then it's like thinking that I have solved the problem, but actually shelter is a process, it's not a product. And especially when we are talking about construction techniques, it's an habit. If you are proposing something new, you are trying to change an habit. So it needs to be really gradual, and really with participatory approaches are the key for the success of all these interventions. And as well as I was mentioning before, to avoid creating dependency and increase resilience, and engaging the community in the design and decision process is essential. For this pilot, it was successful in one way, but not successful overall, because there was no enough community engagement, and it was not accepted. But we were exploring on how to use also bundles of bamboo for a little structure, and added the structure to the shelter to provide more shade. This was inspired in a design of one of the IDPs, and yet some of them discovered this technique of using the bundles, and they enjoy playing with it, but unfortunately it was not applied in all the sites. However, as you can see, the walls of the shelters are made are covered with this bamboo, thatched bamboo, and that's having a significant impact in the sustainability and the lifespan of the shelters, because this is this on the walls plus the grass on the roof is increasing the lifespan of the emergency shelter, that normally, if it is just plastic sheeting with the exposure to the sun and the wind, etc., it can be damaged in few months. And with this protection, it will not just improve the thermal comfort, it will also increase the lifespan significantly. So this is a system that I highly recommend everywhere where I go, and just mentioning to the community, and the community just do it by themselves, and that's making their shelters more resilient and increasing.
Yeah, that's much more valuable than just telling them where to order their from for the treatment, showing them ways to design to prolong the lifespan without having to get those chemicals shipped from somewhere else. Yeah, that's great. That's brilliant. Yeah, really. Yeah, I like that picture. I really like a lot too. So that's a good example of design that's going to keep the keep the rain off the bamboo. It's got a different type of material for the roof, or is that a plastic tarp, or what is that?
Yeah, it's a plastic sheeting and it's a tarpaulin. This is in Mozambique, and this I wanted to show that it was all the shelters will be made all with bamboo. And in Mozambique, I actually have another picture. So these are more the traditional construction techniques in Mozambique, which is pau pic. And normally you have the structure walls, well, it's similar to the bareque or quincha. It's very similar, like I can see similarities of these systems in different countries. But in this case, the pau pic, so they do a kind of a mesh structure, and then they add stones, or they just add the mud. Depending on the region, they do in one way or another one. But normally the posts are made with wooden poles, and then the mesh is done with the bamboo. But this is more long-term houses that for the return areas, which is in Mozambique. This was also a context in the northern region of Mozambique, where there is also a conflict, and now the situation has improved, but where a lot of people were displaced, and then once that they could go back to their place of origin, they could build permanent houses, or even in some locations, the government will provide them big plots where they can set their permanent house and have their land and have their latrines. And so it was a different context that in South Sudan, where you could not build individual and big enough shelters, nor permanent. But in Mozambique, they were allowed. The problem was the resources, and because the needs were huge. So what can and you prefer sometimes it's you provide more assistance to more people, less material, but assist more people. It's very difficult to sometimes quantity is better than quality when you talk about the life of people. So more than, so this was a bit limited depending on the budget, but also something that was very impressive. It was the proactivity of the community here in Mozambique. You will give them some tools, some basic materials, and they will, when you are coming the next week to visit, they will have harvested the bamboo and taken the mud, and they will build their houses. The houses will be almost built. So they were like, it was really, really beautiful also to see. And that's actually where you see the resilience, right, of people and how you can support, because if you are supporting the self-recovery, not just providing them the aid itself. So it's, but that's why we say it is a process and it's not a product. And then you can support during that process of recovery. Better maybe explaining the key techniques that can improve can make their shelters more resilient. So it was really interesting. The only issue is the lack of course, of control in terms of harvesting bamboo and access to the other materials, which was a big issue as well.
Yeah, that's another issue in regions and countries where they don't have a lot of experience or cultural heritage of using bamboo, not being familiar with the treatment, like we said, but also not understanding the proper way to harvest it and selecting the right poles to maintain a healthy bamboo or healthy bamboo grove that's going to keep renewing and producing good poles. There's it's not rocket science, but there's definitely a technique to harvest it properly for that. And
yeah, exactly. We were trying to, so the ideal in this context, I always hope that at some point it will be also considered as a priority to train the local people on sustainable forestry management techniques. I think in Mozambique, when we were there, we took a big step, having local authorities involved and being aware of the techniques, because they will be the key players on promoting the sustainable forestry management within the region. So not just for the suppliers, but maybe also from the humanitarian partners, and for considering livelihood activities, etc. They can maybe also include that on their projects. Hopefully, it will happen.
Yeah, that was a big part of what we did when we were there in October. Was, showing them the proper harvesting, the proper treatment, how to use it, how to maintain it, and everything. And yeah, it was interesting to see, for one thing, that they had a lot of bamboo and they weren't familiar with those practices, but they were also like really receptive to learning from us how to do it. So it seemed like a really positive exchange. We're hoping to do more of those types of workshops. And there's a great video about that workshop. If you scroll back in YouTube history, you can find that. I don't know if you saw it yet, Eva, but I just posted it last week, I think.
I saw it. I need to watch it. I saw that you published. I didn't have the time. Like I wanna watch it.
That's a fun like retrospective of the whole event. It was like, yeah, was it 10 days? Lots of people there, lots of great memories. So it's kind of fun to go back and.
Yeah, I still need to go back to my pictures also. There is a lot of good memories from that event, and I need to maybe go and select some, because there is a lot also to take a lot. I think it was very comprehensive, and we touched a lot of topics. We complement each other, and I think it is one of the most complete events that I have seen.
Nice.
It was super nice. And this is also in Mozambique, and I wanted to show it as well. So this is because when we were facing the lack of materials and the lack of bamboo, I was coordinating the cluster partners, the shelter cluster partners there, and I was pushing them to find ways to optimize the use of materials. So some of the partners came up with this innovative solution and exploring the design on using the minimum bamboo possible. So it was optimized, optimizing as much as possible the space with just one tarpaulin. So this plastic sheet on the roof is 6 by 4, which normally doesn't allow you to get the minimum coverage space, which is normally 3.5 square meters per person in the humanitarian sector. For a family of 5 people, normally it should be 17.5. And this shelter didn't manage to get the 17.5, but it still increased it a little bit more than the minimum with the one tarpaulin. So that's where we overstretched the resources available, and also considering the lack of water, that is also one of the main issues.
I see the water catchment there in the corner.
Exactly. So how the shape will collect the water, because rainwater collection systems are very common in more longer term structures, but not in emergency shelters. So, but it's not that complicated. You have a plastic sheet, you have a roof, just play with the geometry, add some buckets, and then you have water at least for washing and this.
Yeah, water every little bit helps if you can save it. Yeah, it's a brilliant design, really making use of the materials there. Just a real sparse like frame, and then using that one sheet and folding it like that. Yeah, it's really that's great. I like that.
Yes.
Well done.
Nice. Yeah, and then for example, these are the type of, I got this from Indonesia. I really like this very interactive pictures, and this type of materials, IC material, it's called, is information, education, and communication material. Is what normally during the humanitarian shelter interventions, they are ideally, you should be providing this type of documents or just to install a poster during the distributions and for trainings as well. But if not, just distributing this can make an impact, a big impact, because the people with the graphics, with simple graphics, considering that maybe some will not be technical, because most of the times the people build their own houses, but then at least they see what are the key aspects that you should consider, especially for joints and bracing, considering that in this context as well, they are facing different type of natural hazards like cyclones and floods, earthquakes, everything that you can imagine. So these type of materials are normally distributed, and this was so from bamboo from Indonesia. And then when we talk about bamboo, and this picture is super bad quality, but when we talk about bamboo and humanitarian sector, again, talking about the Rohingyas from Myanmar, we immediately should think about Bangladesh in Cox's Bazar, where actually they use bamboo, but they actually, it's the first country where some donors invested in treatment plants, and they are treating the bamboos over there. They have a huge facility for treatment of bamboos managed by Bangladeshi. So it's also very interesting how maybe some of the refugees are working as well there, but then it's also interesting because you can generate income generating activities, and also mitigate some tensions that can arise between host country and refugee population, etc. So, but then, and then of course, bamboo is treated, and the durability is improved. And they have here all the facilities that they need for the treatment of the bamboo, with the baths and the acid boric and the borax and the drying station, everything. So it's one of the, I think this project started probably in 2018. And so far, I think it's the only one which is still as humanitarian context with a proper bamboo facility in the long run. Yeah. So,
well done. Good work.
Thank you. I will stop.
Yeah, it's really great to see, the work that you do. There's, I talk about bamboo a lot. Usually we're talking about bamboo for restoring forests or to prevent erosion or to reduce your carbon footprint. And so, using bamboo for humanitarian relief is just taking it a step further to benefit humankind with what bamboo has to offer. So,
and what I'm trying to promote in my work is not just because even if I am an architect and I have these technical skills, what I try to rescue and to give more value is the soft skills, and to see it more from a holistic perspective, to close the cycle. As I say, not a product, that's a process, not to bring bamboo, to think into the whole cycle. That's why I really enjoy the workshop, the event in Mozambique. For example, in Myanmar, this month when I was there, I was providing some training as well, and I was talking about the different opportunities that the bamboo could offer to them, because they know they have familias, but they don't know, or they don't think about the potential of bamboo, not just for construction and for their livelihoods, but also in terms of disaster risk reduction. Because the reality is that in the crisis, the humanitarian crises are also exacerbated by the natural hazards. Some are conflicts, some are natural disaster. But then if we don't consider the sustainability and environmental practices, the natural hazards will be increasing. So we should be also responsible of that. It's a topic that always was very sensitive, I think, in the humanitarian sector, considering that you don't think about sustainability because it's life-saving, but still there are ways to do it, and strategies that can be in place that doesn't really require too much budget. And for example, we were discussing in Myanmar about some communities that live near to a river. Every year gets flooded, and the river, because of the river, during the rainy season grows, and I was wondering why there is no bamboo planted there that can maybe work as a barrier, because they have land erosion. So and also if the community has the bamboo there, they can prepare their shelters, they can have access to livelihoods, they can use it for food, for medicine, for whatever that they use, because if they use it traditionally for many purposes. And they were fascinated about this idea. Hopefully this will happen. It is in one of the areas that is accessible for now. And actually I managed to connect with the Myanmar Myanmar Bamboo Association founder, and they are in touch. So to discover which species can grow there and see if this move forward. So, but they are really, really interested. And as I said, I think that it's connecting all these dots and closing the cycle, not just providing shelter or providing something specific, it's just to consider all this bamboo can offer that.
Yeah, it's really easy just to focus on what you're doing and ignore all the other implications, but that's not the right way to solve problems. Yeah, you got to be holistic. It's great. Yeah. So where's your next trip? Where are you going for the next humanitarian project?
So now because I'm trying to balance my humanitarian work with some other architecture, sustainable design projects here back in Spain, and still I will support Myanmar. I think for some projects and maybe some capacity building. I don't know if maybe I will go back. Hopefully. But yeah, no, I think that for now, I think that my plan is to stay a little bit quiet here.
Yeah.
Yes, and find this balance. My life balance is combining both sectors now. Yeah.
Nice. And you're going to Germany in May for the European Bamboo Expo, right? I saw your name on the list.
Yes, we will be there. You will be as well, so we will meet.
Of course,
I will be representing there ASIP, which is another of my babies as well, with a group of bamboo lovers, and also you.
I'm a member, yes.
Yes, because you're a member of ASIP as well. So ASIP is the Iberian Bamboo Association, and yeah, when I came back, I think it was in 2019, I was coming back from the field, and I had the chance to go to the first Iberian Symposium in Madrid. I was surprised to find an Iberian Symposium in Spain, and it's where I met all these bamboo lovers. And we, together, a group of 12 people, I think we were 12 co-founders, we decided to found the Iberian Bamboo Association, and we have been growing since then. And we have new members, and as one of them is you, Fred.
ASIB, for people who don't know, ASIB is an acronym for association, the Iberian Bamboo Association, right?
Iberian Bamboo Association, which in Spanish is Asociación Ibérica del Bambú.
Exactamente. So that includes bamboo lovers of both Spain and Portugal.
Yes.
And expats like myself who happen to live in Spain.
Yes, bamboo grows here in Portugal a lot, as you know.
Yeah, the bamboo behind me is Portuguese bamboo. Well, it's Chinese bamboo, but it's growing in Portugal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's we are supporting each other. We thought that I thought that I was I thought that I was the crazy Spanish woman in love with bamboo, and then I discovered that no, we are a bunch of us. So if we are trying to promote bamboo in this area, better to support each other and to join efforts, and that's our goal with ASIP. Mostly focus on promotion of it with some organization, some content, and then organizing some events and workshops as well. And yeah, everybody's welcome to join us.
Nice. Well, we could talk about great bamboo projects all day long, I feel like, but I think you've got another meeting to get to, and we're running out of time. So unless you have anything else to say, I just want to say thanks for spending your afternoon with me talking about bamboo. And I can't wait to see you in Dortmund in Germany in May.
Always a pleasure, and thank you very much for this time. And we'll see you in May.
All right.
If not earlier.
Yep, if not sooner.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Eva.
Bye, Fred. Ciao.